into doing this live with me. I can Today is World Cancer Day, and we typically hear about the experiences of people who have been diagnosed with cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's much awareness of what it is like to be a caregiver for somebody who is living with cancer. From that perspective, what is it like? What is it like when the person passes away after suffering with cancer? And that is what I want us to talk about. Um, Owana, your mother, Angel,
Mm-hmm.
flying up and down in heaven and taking care of you, I'm sure, still right now. Can you remember what age she was when she was diagnosed with breast cancer?
I would say 34.
So she was 34 when she was diagnosed with cancer. Can you say how long
No,
she,
let me not say 34. She was, I think, 36, and she died when she was 38. Because it was in a space of 2 years.
so in 2 years she died. Can you can us run back through what was the diagnosis and what you first of all, how old were you when she passed on?
I was 18 when she passed.
You were 18.
Yeah.
Um, can you recall what that was like? Living like how did you know about the diagnosis? Because I know that she was very secretive about it. It's also something that me kind of vexed about, but I understand that she was very secretive about it. How did you find out?
So I think it maybe started a year before we actually found out she had like a lump on her arm, and we thought it was like a bump. She went to a doctor. They said that she should pay 50,000, and they would just cut it out because it's not cancerous. They didn't do any tests or anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
said it's not cancer, and 50,000,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd remove it. But I guess she got advice from someone else who said go and get tested,
Mm-hmm.
and she did the test at Spanish Town Hospital, and it took like they gave her a date for maybe like 6 months after to come back for it. When she
Uh,
went back for it, they told her
that was
that
the
they
free
lost.
hospital, right?
Excuse me?
Spanish Town Hospital is free. That means the long time to
Yes.
wait would be because it was in the public system.
Yes. And even so, with waiting the 6 months, when we went to collect the result to see what it was, they said that they lost the sample. So we had to wait again for her to
Another
do
6 months.
another test. Yeah, for her to do another test for them to tell her that it's cancer. So within receiving the result, the doctor immediately scheduled a test for her, well, surgery for her to remove her breast within 2 weeks. So it was very sudden. Like
Yeah.
immediately as we found out that it was cancer, the doctor said, hey, we have to take off the breast. And
Wow. So
that day it was at the first never like cry, make nobody see, like me
yeah.
did feel hurt. Like me just see my life just gone. And it wasn't me, but me not know if to explain it. It was very horrible.
All right. So disclaimer. You know me, Bali Bali. So probably should go and get some tissue because I already feel it coming.
I think
But
you should because you're not that strong, you know? Don't look at me like that. It's the truth. I won't cry, but I'm sure you're gonna cry.
all right, I still come back. I think that's
Okay.
I can't find a napkin, so I guess I'm going to just mess up my makeup and call it a day because I fried it. All right, so if I'm to recap what you're saying, Narissa, right? If I am to
Yeah, I'm
recap
here.
what you're saying, what you're basically saying is that she went to the public health system. Of course, she didn't have the money to go private, right?
Yeah.
So she went public and they gave her 6 months to come back. And then when she
Mm-hmm.
went back after the 6 months, she had to wait another 6 months because they lost her medical records. It was like a year of waiting before any kind of action was taken.
Correct. Yes.
And then 2 weeks after that, she had to remove the breast.
Correct.
All right. And you were saying that at that point it hit you and you cried for the first time,
Mm.
even though you're so strong.
Yes.
All right. What was it like from that point?
From that point, it was basically journeys to the hospital. That was most of our time together. It was either going to the hospital, and this time I was going to school. So I
Did
had to
this
be
affect you being your so you were
academically,
16.
yes.
You were 16 when she was diagnosed,
Yes, I
when it
was
all
in fourth
started.
form. Yes,
So did it affect your ability to perform or to concentrate on school?
definitely. It was mostly about going to the hospitals. When I couldn't go to the hospital and she had to go by herself, my mind was just always there wondering what's happening. And even after she did the surgery, you have to go and they release the fluid from the area. It was very painful. It healed okay, but the fluid that built up inside of it was very painful. So we had to go to the hospital maybe like 3 times a week just to get the fluid drained. And then she didn't have a car, so we were taking public transportation. And the pothole them when the bus dropped in at the pothole, problem because she was in so much pain. And that was mostly it until it got worse. Um,
Did you so how was chemo? I remember going with her a few times to get chemo. How was that for you?
yeah, chemo was awful. Most of the times I could not bear to see her getting sick so many times because at one point, and it hit her so fast, like the first set of chemo was the red one. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the red one that you get in the first place. That took her care of like immediately. She was sick and it messed with her veins, so they couldn't find places to give her the medication through. So she had to do another surgery to put I think it's a PIC line, the one that goes to your heart and in your
Yeah,
chest. She had to get one of those. And
I
for the
remember that.
whole surgery, I was there at UE from morning till night, could see her first, the whole works until she came out and then she started to get medication through the PIC line. Um, pain, nothing was helping the pain, and then she couldn't walk. Also, with the surgery that she got on her breast, she lost movements or mobility in her arm. So she was basically just using one arm. And also, what would happen is that arm, it would get swollen and she would feel a lot of pain in it. So she can't help herself to pick up something, but there was pain in that arm. So, and then she couldn't walk. So, I had to be there, do all these stuff for her. So it was just a journey, a
Yeah,
very,
because you are her only child and she didn't have anybody else really around like that, right? I mean,
yeah,
friends would pass through, I'm sure, but you were the caregiver. You were the caregiver at 16, 17, 18.
yeah.
How has that changed you? How has that impacted you?
Well, in the beginning, depression,
Mm-hmm.
like serious depression. I wanted to die. I was even telling my friend the other day, I did not consider ending my own life, But instead of praying for God to help me through certain things, I used to wake up every day and just pray. So I just dead. I just pray so me I walk somewhere and somebody kill me or something let me down. Not to be very graphic or whatever, but that's just how I felt at that time. And I'm not the type of person,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not the type of person who would go to someone and say, this is how I'm feeling, whatever, whatever. So I was
Yeah,
going
don't
through
we
all of
know?
it alone. Yeah, my wallet. But it was, I guess it going through all of that, it helped me to be the person that I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've overcome all of that and I don't wish to go back there. If I need help, I will say I need help. If anything
Right.
is, I will reach out. Um, so it basically helped me to become stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But I do miss my mom. And if I could have turned it back, I definitely would. But
I totally get that. Um, um, I'm very proud of you. Let me be the first to say that I am extremely proud of you. Not many people would have been able to go through what you've been through in terms of watching your mom through the entire process and to be okay. Congratulations on being a good mom to your own son and to be literally defying all the odds every day. Let me
mhm,
ask you this, right? If, as you know, I'm a financial advisor, and
mhm,
one of the things that I just learning, I never know all these things before all of my life. Believe me, the importance of having critical illness coverage, which says if something happens and you are diagnosed with cancer or any other critical condition, that you would have money to be able to take care of your medical bills. Do you
mhm.
think if your mother had critical illness coverage, it would have made life a bit easier for you and her in terms of how you managed the condition?
If I'm being very honest, if
Hmm.
she did have something like that in place, I honestly think that she would be here today.
Yeah,
Just the whole wait to be diagnosed, that would not have happened and she'd have a better chance because at
I
that point,
agree.
things.
Hello, Narissa? Well, while I wait for you to reconnect, that is definitely fact. The truth is that there's been a lot of advancement in medicine as it relates to also cancer treatments. But the trick is identifying the condition early and doing what you can do to absolve it early. So when you have critical illness insurance, once there's a diagnosis, immediately you are paid out so that you can go and handle your condition. The public system, as we know, is terrible. You don't want to have to be waiting in the public arena for you to get the money that you need to save your life. As you heard Narissa just say, if her mother had critical illness insurance, there's no doubt she would have been alive today. What I want to get from her when she rejoins, because she apparently was bumped off just now, is how important it is. What has her financial life been since her mother passed away? Narissa is an only child. There was not much family, and she was with me for a while, so I kind of know the details of it. I'm not sure how much of it she wants to get into, but when you are a 18-year-old girl with no one to
Can you hear
look
me?
to, no financial resources. Yes, welcome back. I
Yes.
was just in summary saying why having critical illness insurance is important. Advances in medicine has totally, like, significantly reduced deaths from a lot of critical illnesses. But the problem is that people are finding out of their diagnosis too late. And when it's too late, it becomes almost impossible, especially if you don't have the financial resources to treat the
True.
issue. So you did mention that if your mom had critical illness insurance, you are sure that she would be alive, and I'm agreeing with you. because early diagnosis is what matters. And I must say I'm extremely proud of Sagicor, um, with the lens that they have gone to ensure that our critical illness plans are covering the illnesses that are required. We have one that I absolutely love called the Total Woman. Of course, it's for women that pays out on diagnosis of precancerous cells, which means
Mm-hmm.
if you do a mammogram or a pap smear and there are cells that could potentially become cancerous, that pays out on that to allow you to prevent it from even getting to a cancer diagnosis. We don't have any other plans on the market like that, and we don't have any other plans even with surgical that allows you to be paid out on on diagnosis of precancerous cells, and that is critical in managing any cancer diagnosis. You want to make sure that you are you are getting the kind of assistance you need earlier than later, because the later you wait is the less the chances you have of getting
To
over the
survive.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. So tell me, what was life like financially after your mom passed on? Like, how did you survive?
Um, to be very honest, life financially after she died, even before she died, it was hard. But after, I did not have much. Thankful for everybody who helped, assisted. I had nothing. I had nowhere to live. I had nowhere to go because, as you know, we were living in a rented house. So,
Mm-hmm.
with my mother passing away, I had to leave. So, I had nowhere to go at one point. I was with you, and then
Mm-hmm.
I left, and I
Mm-hmm.
was with a friend of my mother's for a while, until I met this guy, had my son, and that was when life began to look up. So,
When you
and
had
it
your
wasn't
son.
an immediate thing because I had my son maybe 2.5 years after my mom passed. So, in between that time, it was very hard. Even up until this day, it's still hard, but it is manageable, it's better. But
Mm-hmm.
it was horrible at that time.
Right. And no matter how, as an advisor, I find that we talk to people about the importance, sorry, of setting some kind of financial foundation or security, especially if you have children, because
Mm-hmm.
what you absolutely do not want is anything happening to you and your child doesn't have any kind of financial stability. Not everybody is as strong as you are, trust me, to be able to make it out. Even with bruises, some people just cannot manage it. And
Mm-hmm.
when you love your children, you go and love them whether you're alive or dead, you want to make sure that they are even, a kind of sounding board, something to stand on in the event that you are not around.
True.
Um, if if you were to, what I want to say now, if you were to give me a summary or one final statement on what you consider to be the importance of financial planning in relation to your mother and her diagnosis, what would that be?
All right. So for the financial planning, no one knows when they're gonna get sick, if they're gonna get sick. So it's something that we should plan for just in case.
Hmm.
In her case, I would say it would have helped with her not struggling through the illness, medication wise, food wise,
Right.
stuff that she needed, because each time she's supposed to get her medication, she had to get a new needle, and one needle costs like, I think, $3,500 at the
Hmm.
time, and that this has been like 8 years. So
Hmm.
it's a lot more now. So persons should definitely think about getting
critical illness
like
coverage.
prepared by getting the insurance from Sagicor or
Mm,
wherever they choose to, preferably
right,
Sagicor. But just in the event that something does happen, they have a cushion to fall back on.
right.
And also, if you have kids, I think you should, or for me, the main objective is to ensure that your child has somewhere to stay in the event that your eyes close
Mm,
whenever. If you don't have car, money, whatever, a house is a major help because the only thing your child would have to do is to try to fend for themselves to ensure that they survive, get an education, whatever, whatever. So I think Sagicor would be able to assist with all of that.
right. Let me say too that your life insurance coverage can also be used as collateral for mortgage. So
Yeah.
once you're looking into getting into the mortgage market, you're going to need to have life insurance. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. The minute you decide that you want to own property in Jamaica, it is by law that you have to have life insurance coverage to cover the total value of the property. So no, so whereas National Housing Trust will give you a max of say $6.5 million for the
Mm-hmm.
house, you know you're not finding a house for $6.5 million nowadays.
Right.
You're going to need a balance. And when it comes to needing the difference and approaching another institution, you are going to need life insurance to cover that difference. And it is so important, you're right, that if you do not own your home already and you have a child and something happens to you, your child could very well end up on the street. And it cannot be that you would be dependent on family members because that doesn't always work how we
Right.
intend it to work. It is your responsibility as a